and stuff. So that's good. I mean, like I said, this doesn't have, I mean, obviously, the goal will be to, not just put the database together, or not just to, create a value prop and go, hey, I did one. We need to share it. We need to talk to our database. So, I mean, just know that the sooner that we start looking through our phone and calling, texting, somebody and saying, hey, how you been, whatever, the sooner we do that, the better. So, kind of, I guess the homework will be, is to continue to just kind of work on your database, put it together, build it, grow it, whatever. But also start reaching out to folks. We need to say hi to some folks and call them and send texts and things like that. Who, how you contact certain folks. So, just kind of know that that will be big. So. And then Roger says that OpCity has been keeping me busy with low quality leads. I've sort of talked about, grabbing every lead you can, and then having things sort of set up so that you're not, kind of losing time on certain leads. But the one thing with OpCity is, you kind of go through a little growing pain period, if you want to call it that. And, but eventually, like the good leads come in, and they sort of start trusting you because you're taking leads and working them and updating them. So, but, I know what you mean, Roger, but just kind of, we can chat, or we can have a conversation about how to not waste time with them, but work those leads, with just ways to work them, without you having to kind of, think you're wasting time, on either low quality leads or low dollar leads, that type of thing. We want to work them. We want to get them. We want to work them. But, glad to help you kind of put some things in place to, to not feel like you're wasting time. Okay, so let me grab my, okay, so we're gonna continue the lead gen conversation, because obviously that's, very important to our business. And we're gonna just talk about for sale by owners and expireds. Lots of things, some folks, aren't, well, if you're new, it's a great way to just kind of start getting your name out there. A lot of folks, feel like I don't want to work expireds. I don't want to work for sale by owners. But, just kind of know that as we kind of go through this, these next slides, we're going to just be talking about, ideas and things you can do to sort of value prop yourself. So really the conversation we have over the next hour or so will can relate to any client, any potential client. So even if you aren't thinking for sale by owners or expireds, or haven't thought about it, and maybe we go through it and you're like, I might give it a shot, I might not, just know the sort of what we talk about and how we're talking about things, can be used across the board. So it's not, what we talk about is not just for sale or expireds. But the one thing with for sale by owners and expireds is these people want to sell. So they're the for sale by owners are strong, maybe a little strong-willed. And like, I'm going to do this on my own, but we can, there's ways that we can maybe get inroads to them. And the expireds are probably grumpy because, and I know there's not a ton of expireds in some of our markets. So, that's just a natural piece, but still there are expireds, and those people did want to sell. They're going to, for sale by owners are going to be like strong will, I got this. And the expireds are going to be grumpy because they thought their home was going to sell and it didn't for 6 months or whatever that time frame was. But again, let's just take the time to chat and kind of see what kind of, what we can offer them, or things we can do to sort of just start getting an inroad and maybe see if something works out for us. So that's kind of the thought going forward. So, just some numbers, for sale by owners, 8% of the homes were for sale by owners. So, I mean, that leaves a lot of folks that, of course, the number one reason for going, they don't want to pay commission. They feel they can just put the sign in the yard and it will just sell. So, in some are successful and some aren't. So, the piece that comes in is that third line: houses sold by an agent versus for sale by owner sell for more money, 31% more. So, they're trying to save 6% commission, or whatever that commission would be, and they're giving up 31% in a sale price because they just aren't familiar or able to know exactly or have our knowledge of what that house is worth. So right there, that's just one piece that we can sort of have a conversation with the for sale by owner, and just let them know what we can offer to to make sure that they get the most most money. And then, of course, a lot of for sale by owners sell to a friend, relative, or neighbor. And it says only 5% of for sale by owners were just somebody driving by, seeing it or looking on forsalebyowner.com or something like that, and actually buying the house. Only 5% are folks they don't know. So that kind of tells us there's a window there for us to kind of have an inroad to potentially, help them and help us, with another deal. And, just some ways, but before I kind of go further, just kind of, just be thinking about, for sale by owners or expireds. And sometimes a house will expire, maybe it expired 3 months ago and they just never relisted or aren't ready or just taking a break. Same thing with for sale by owners. So both of these buckets of homes are awesome opportunities for us if we have a buyer. If we have a buyer and there's nothing in the MLS, well, guess what? Go back in the expireds and go back, 6 months. Go, and see what expired in the last 6 months. Go back a year. It'll take you a little bit in the MLS to kind of run a report that shows, what expired in the last year, and just, and get your kind of just like you would set up a listing alert for a client. Where 3-bedroom, 2-bath, up to 250, whatever you're looking for, but look at an expireds and just see if a house expired 6 months ago that just, they weren't looking then, so it didn't come up on your radar. It expired for some reason, and, maybe they're still willing to sell. So we're able to get into them and go, look, if you're interested in selling or considering it, I got a buyer that's really looking in your, in your neighborhood or school district or price range, whatever. So that's just one avenue. Excuse me. Same thing with for sale by owners. We're not going to drive around, the whole city looking for sale by owners, but if they're in a certain subdivision or neighborhood or want to, going up and down a couple streets, like it says, walking, driving. But in reality, we could go on, Zillow and look for sale by owners. We can go on forsalebyowner.com. Just Google for sale by owners, and see all the sites, and just, if we truly have a buyer, and we're thinking along those lines, or just thinking like, hey, I can probably help them and maybe get a listing out of it. But, kind of thinking we have buyers looking in this particular, pocket of homes, for sale by owners, a great option. You say, hey, look, I have someone that'll, do it. If we can do like a one-time agreement, pay me this commission, you have a chance to, kind of work something out and get a buyer a house. So just kind of think of it that way as well. But yeah, kind of finding for sale by owners, walking, driving, a certain neighborhood as you're driving around. If you ever see one, make a note. Listing syndication portals. But in reality, probably the best and most, the easiest for us is kind of going to forsalebyowner.com, FSBO.com. There'll be a ton of them that are kind of, out there, and folks will, pay a few bucks to get it on that, that website. So just some thoughts there. I'm going to pause for a second and just, I know, some new folks, but, any of our more experienced folks ever do anything with a for sale by owner, whether it was, get a listing or, potentially, kind of set one up as a one-time showing for a buyer. Anybody have any luck with those?
Wayne, it's Jackie. I haven't had to do this in a while because of our market. But what I would do is drop a handwritten note consistently to for sale by owners, maybe once a week in the buyer's markets, and then more consistently, definitely in the seller's markets. Just a note saying, if you'd be open to a conversation with me. On the second time, I would put in a CMA, a very brief CMA, but just giving them something that they knew that I was working on it consistently. And I used to have great luck with that.
Awesome. Awesome. I love it. John asked, are they still on Zillow? I haven't been on Zillow in a while. I'm not sure, if they still have, I would think they do, just because they have a chance to get a few bucks, but I would think they might still have for sale by owners. But I know the last time I looked on like for sale by owner.com or whatever, sometimes they have a range of pricing, so you can, just throw it out there for 50 bucks or 100 bucks or something, and then you have a chance to essentially boost it and make it a priority listing type, on the for sale by owner site, and I think they would just charge a little more. So, but yeah, I mean, it would be great for everyone just, like this afternoon or whatever, just to kind of, Google for sale by owner and just click on a couple of the sites and obviously you just put in your zip code and just kind of see what's out there. But I love the idea, with Jackie, kind of, dropping something off, because then they, those folks know that you were like at the house. And I know with COVID, you don't want to, knock on the door and freak them out, but like kind of having something that you're leaving behind, leave it at the door, leave it hanging on the door kind of thing, would be a great option, and they know you were there, and we'll talk about that a little bit more about what we can do, or what are options for us to sort of help for sale by owners. So we really don't want to call them up or come across them. We can't say, oh man, like that doesn't work. You need me, because they'll just put their chest out a little bit more and go, I don't need an agent, but we have avenues, a lot of options to help them, and kind of get on their good side. And then obviously, our goal is almost to wish them luck, like, hey, good luck. Let me know if you need anything. But kind of get on their good side, so that if it doesn't sell, and they get sick of, oh geez, I didn't know that I was going to have 10 showings and I got to work and all that stuff, and I don't quite know what I'm doing, and that they realize, like, Roger was helpful. He didn't call and say we shouldn't be doing it. He didn't call and say that he needs to do it himself. He was just kind of helping us through, and that can kind of lead to to them potentially reaching out to you when or if they decide to list, or they're through trying to experiment. So
I'm a brand new agent, so I haven't experienced myself being the agent, but the last house we sold last year, we were doing it for sale by owner, and we actually had an ERA realtor reach out to us, and we stayed for sale by owner, but he actually brought a buyer client, and we gave him part of the commission, and then he represented us too when we were buying a house to buy our new house. So it was kind of cool, because I had never met him before, and all because he reached out to me was how he got that business. So
awesome.
Yeah.
So Emily, if you wouldn't mind, I love it. I love and that's, I mean, that is, so now you're an agent
Yeah.
as the seller / buyer. So it's awesome to hear. But if you wouldn't mind, like, what was that initial, how did he reach out, and kind of what was that initial conversation? Did he drop something off? Like, what was that initial meeting?
Well, actually, I reached out to him on accident.
Oh,
So there was an ad underneath a listing I was just looking at online at a house, and I thought that he was the agent for that house, and I was interested in looking at it. And when I called him, he kind of gave me more details about it, and I was like, "Oh no, that's not what we need." And we were about to hang up the phone, and right before he was like, "Well, wait a minute, are you selling your house? Do you have an agent?" And I said, "Well, I'm doing for sale by owner." And he asked if I would work with. Sorry, I have my kids home today.
that's okay.
He asked if I would work with an agent, and I said yes. And he asked what area I lived in. He said he might have a buyer. He brought someone by that Wednesday, and it closed for more than I was originally going to ask for. So it worked out well. And then he ended up representing us in finding a new home because he was just awesome to work with. So, but we had actually planned on using a realtor to purchase a home, but it was who we had used previously. And we just after we met Tony, we were like, nope, we'll stick with him. He's great.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you for that. Cause it really, obviously as agents, it's a natural fear. When we talk about phone calls, no issue calling my friend John or just somebody I know and going, hey, how's everything going? Just wanted to make sure you knew I was in real estate. But when we talk about calling folks in the rejection piece or the objection handling piece, so obviously, that was a meeting where an agent didn't call you and try to engage you, but did obviously Tony closed well, or before hung up with you, actually asked that question about, are you selling? Like, that's awesome. So, but just kind of know, our fear of someone on the other end going, I'm doing it, I don't need you, kind of, and in us hearing a no or I'm good, but just sort of having that conversation, starting it, dropping something off, engaging them. But obviously, Tony, it's what we were just talking about. Tony had a buyer. So Emily might have said, I'm good, but we don't, I know agents that aren't completely on the level, will reach out to someone and go, I have buyers, can I swing by and try to get into the house and just say they have buyers and they don't. But if you have someone, there's nothing, it's almost like there's nothing easier to say, to call them and just see if they'll pay you some commission. Sometimes we just do like 3%. Sometimes you can get 4% because they're sitting, you're going to pay you 4, but they'd pay 6 if it went on the market, and that kind of thing. So, but having a buyer in making that, having that conversation with a for sale by owner, Tony helped Emily sell, helped, obviously got his buyer a home. And then it turned around because Emily needed a new home. So that was awesome. So, and that's kind of, that's the best case scenario for Tony. It doesn't always work that way, but if we can, if we don't really have a buyer and we just kind of work the for sale by owner and they list with us, that's a bonus. If it works out that we, get in more information about the home and then come across a buyer tomorrow, like, hey, I got one that's not on the market. Let me see what I can do, kind of thing. So, but that was awesome. So thank you again, Emily. Okay, so we'll continue going through here. So, as far as talking about expireds, there's really, if you just go in the MLS, you obviously can, run a report like, hey, what expired in the last 6 months? Again, I know there's not a ton of them, but there are homes that are expiring. And there's a reason they expired. The agent didn't do what they promised. Horrible pictures. It was overpriced. Obviously lots of reasons homes still do expire. Maybe the condition, things like that. But I'll take an expired listing if I can get the price down. if I can get them to do a little work and update it or price it accordingly, or, you know, whatever and take better pictures so that it shows, you know, better online. So folks actually want to see it instead of taking pictures, you know, with your phone or, you know, of two walls in a room kind of thing. So there are lots of avenues, but, you know, kind of just, this would be another little, you know, tool that you can kind of just play with, you know, over the next week until Monday or whatever. But, you know, get in the MLS, just kind of run a report or do a hot sheet, and just kind of see what's out there. See if there's anything that strikes you, like, you know, why wouldn't that sell if that was on the market right now? You know, because you know, we do know that sellers are really grumpy. They lost some you know, oomph when their house expired and didn't sell. You know, they might have lost some trust in real estate agents. So that's kind of what you're dealing with you know, with an expired listing. But just kind of know, you know, you know, I say that's an easy conversation, but it's pretty easy to, you know, to have a conversation and just say, are you still interested in selling? And then, you know, I have a potential buyer, you know, I'd love to talk to you about maybe why your home didn't sell, you know, that kind of thing. So, so just kind of running that report and seeing what shows up and seeing if there's any listings on there that you think, you know, if it was priced better, if it was, you know, better pictures kind of thing that you could take and sell. A couple questions or comments. Michelle's asking, any tips on how to stand out from the crowd of realtors approaching the for sale by owners? So two things. So I do for sale by owners and expireds. So you know, I'll work them, you know, kind of have a little system down. But I, you know, either a drop by, like Jackie was saying, you know, like a stop by, you know, drop something off kind of thing, so that they know that you know, I'll tell you and it's not the worst thing, but if you're kind of standing out, just sending a letter, just like, you know, I mean, I've gone to for sale by owners or an expired, and then kind of, you know, the last one I did, the lady actually said, look at all these letters I got, you know, and she was like, I was like, hey, do you mind if I, you know, if I peek at those? She goes, you can have them. So she gave me all the letters from agents that, I mean, some were just a letter that someone just signed, like no effort whatsoever. They just like, oh, there's an expired, or, you know, for sale by owner, here's my letter. I'm going to just sign it, stick an envelope. Here's a label, like no personalization, no nothing. So think about what you can just simply do to, you know, to like handwrite a little note, include, like Jackie said, a CMA, any stats. Maybe these folks don't know that their home is worth this, or they're in their neighborhood, the value has gone up, things like that. So, but yeah, Jackie just said it has to be handwritten. That's my thing. I will not, I mean, obviously I'll type you know, the CMA or whatever, but my note is handwritten, so that, you know, they just realize, you know, that I just did a little more than just, you know, oh, print a letter, sign it, stick it in an envelope, mail it, you know, and it's just kind of like a little bit of a robot thing. So yeah, yeah, for sale by owners, yeah, I mean, you know, there are folks, but you know, I think if you give them, you know, stats, I think are important, you know, so, and then if you do, you know, kind of just do something more personal, I think you have a shot to stand out. And obviously the best case is that if you actually had someone that would truly be interested in the home, you know, that kind of makes it even that much easier to, you know, to sort of stand out. Yeah, and Justin, the expired listing analysis. So I think you're maybe talking about the pricing analysis grid. We actually still do have the pricing analysis grid. It's in the, so if you go in leverage, it's under the listing marketing. It's right below where the listing presentation is in leverage. And what that does, I'll actually kind of maybe show you at the end of the session today, but what the pricing analysis grid does is shows us what, you know, it kind of sets up an Excel spreadsheet and shows us what sold at what price, what's, you know, currently available and then what expired. And it really shows that the expired listings typically are overpriced or not priced properly, so that it kind of, you know, gives us a diagram and sort of jumps out at you for folks that want to see something that, you know, that, you know, you expired because you're priced over, you know, over here and you should have been priced here. So it's a very cool tool, but yeah, yeah, we can definitely look at that. But yeah, definitely, Justin. I would love to make sure that that we're on the same page with that for sure. Okay, so we're going to kind of just continue, you know, talking about, you know, the, you know, expireds, and but you know, just continue to realize that we are, you know, we're kind of talking about for sale by owners and expireds, but we're really talking about lead gen. So lead generation, you know, this is really what we're talking about. So the you know, the sample scripts and what we can do to stand out, you know, that is the same, because there are 8,000 real estate agents in every market. So we have to, you know, we're kind of continuing, even though we're going to have a value prop that's sort of written, you know, this is our value prop when we sort of have a chance to get in front of someone, you know, anybody, you know, any potential client. Really what we're kind of going over today we'll work with. We're just kind of happen to be labeling it, you know, working with for sale by owners and expireds. So I'm not really going to go through some, you know, all of these slides, but you know, definitely worth. I'll make sure that I send week 2 to you guys. I think these are in the workbook that you guys have, but I'll you know, I'll just send this so you guys can, as a PDF, so you can take a peek at it. And but having scripts, you know, it's not like you pull the script out and read it word for word. But definitely valuable to have some scripts. It will help you with, you know, first of all, you know, having, you know, kind of getting to the point, but it'll also help you with objection handling, or just kind of going back to what Emily said about Tony. You know, Tony was just, you know, answering some questions, got Emily some information on the house that she asked about, but before you know, she hung up, he threw, you know, he was like, I gotta ask if she's selling, you know, because if she's buying, you know, maybe they have a house to sell. And that, you know, if he would have not worked with Emily, he would have not, you know, helped his buyer, sold their house, you know, sold them a new house. You know, if he didn't just in that is, you know, he's experienced, but that's just because, you know, he's kind of had, you know, done some homework and worked with scripts and has things down to make sure that he asks the right question. So that's kind of the idea with scripts is just kind of, you know, I don't care if you make notes and like, hey, I'm making this call, I got to ask this, this, and this, and that's my goal. You know, and if I can get 3 questions answered or ask them and get responses, you know, and they still say, you know, I'm not ready, or I'm going to do it on my own, or what, you know, whatever the situation is, you know I asked the right questions, and I'll leave a good impression with them as someone that's, you know, willing to help them, able to help them if or when they need to. So just kind of, again, kind of think along those lines. And then, you know, the best thing is, you know, the last line there. I can see you today at 2 or tomorrow at 1, which is better for you. You know, so if you can get through 3 questions and there's a chance that you can close it, you know, just, you know, hanging up with, well, just let me know, you know, if you have a shot at saying, you know, I can meet you today if it works for you, or you know, I'm free all tomorrow morning. You know, can we get together, or you know, can we Zoom, or you know, again, you know, with the whole COVID thing. But the idea is you know, kind of we definitely want to try to close that with throwing out a time, and you know, or can we meet, you know, actually kind of close it instead of you know, kind of leaving it up to them, like, oh, just call me if you want, you know, or you know, let me think about it and then call me. You know, that's open-ended. You know, you'd hate for another agent to call them right after and go, hey, I'm free tomorrow morning, you want to get together? And they're like, sure, you know. So just kind of asking that question. They'll let you know if they want to meet or not, or if they still want time, but at least you had the chance to close it and push for that. So this is definitely, we started talking about this, but giving the for sale by owner valuable information, this is really the key. So when Michelle asked what we can do to sort of stand out, the letters I saw from that client that I ended up listing their home, was like things they can do, and it was typed and stuff, but actually standing out, so I'm here, I'm willing to help you. Here are a couple things that you'll need if you're going to do this on your own, and a seller's checklist, home marketing ideas, helping them take pictures. So I'm going to just kind of ask the group, in your opinion, what are some things that we could give a for sale by owner, that our goal is kind of, first of all, to stand out, like Michelle asked, but to help them, but also we're going to stand out by giving them information and things they need. So I'd love for anyone to unmute themselves or throw something in chat with ideas of things that we can give a seller, a for sale by owner, to help them. Okay, we got some chat here. A referral list, photography, a photographer title, perfect. Yeah, yeah, that was John. Denise, that's probably that property condition disclosure. It is needed. Like, and if they don't have it, or know that it's needed, then that's a state thing. Like, I don't care what home you sell, that property condition disclosure is required. Like, the attorney will have to get it and fill it out. And so you just dropping off that in or mailing it to them, like, hey, if you chat with them or say, I can mail you a couple documents that'll that you will need, and just let me know if you have any questions. But that's an awesome one, that property condition disclosure, because they have no idea that that's needed. But if you send it to them, say, just fill this out, sign it, you'll just need it when you get a buyer. And I've always thought that's that one piece that almost immediately helps me stand out. But John, I love the referral lists, with folks that these are folks that I use, that I use to for my listings, that help me get the most money. And obviously, like a photographer would stand out. So that's awesome. Love that. Any other thoughts? I mean, obviously Jackie had mentioned a CMA, and we had talked about stats. It would be very valuable to me as a for sale by owner if you thought, or without blowing smoke, just because, like, hey, if I tell them it's worth more, maybe they'll list it with me. But I mean, if they're at 250 and you're like, man, if I I think that would list at 270, I mean, that's valuable to just give. You don't have to necessarily say that, but if you give them stats and create a little CMA, and then kind of show, like, the potential list price could be up to 270 per, something like that. That's very valuable to me, and I can actually look at other homes similar to mine. So that's not just you throwing a price out there. You actually give them information that relates to that value. And then Mary says, I like to start by mentioning getting cleaned, cleaning all the windows to start, as an example of things that don't cost a lot but make a difference. Yeah. So, just, again, it's not like, you got to spend $5,000 to get your house ready. I mean, you may have to, but a lot of folks don't have that kind of thing. But yeah, cleaning windows, just straightening up. If you get a chance to get in there, kind of just help them stage it a little bit, decluttering, all of that stuff. Like Mary said, they might not think of things like that. They're thinking, I'm going to put the sign in the yard, I'll get, a couple folks in, and the first person's going to buy it. So, so important for us to, do whatever we can, do it, obviously we've probably done a drive-by, if we're calling or texting them, or if we didn't, stop in. So, kind of giving a quick overview of just the curb appeal. Do they need to paint a front door? Do they, clean up the landscaping a little bit? Things like that. You know, again, all things that they, you know, might not have thought of, but you know, can be very valuable for them. And again, you know, we're throwing things out there that are going to help them. You know, we're not doing it because we have all the time in the world and, and we just want to help for sale by owners sell. But a lot of things can happen with helping them, even if they sell the home themselves. If Emily, you know, met Tony and you know, Tony's gonna help Wednesday, but Emily sells her house Tuesday to somebody. Tony's already made an impression on her. So, you know, they needed an agent to buy their next house. So, you know, so Tony had a great opportunity there for Emily to call him up and go, hey, look, you know, appreciate you reaching out on our house. We actually were able to sell it, but I need an agent to help me find. And I love the way that you work. You're out of the box. You're thinking different, you know, so that's, again, that's, you know, I can't stress, we're talking for sale by owners and expireds, but you know, stepping out and being out of the box will help you with every, you know, customer potential client that you have or meet. So just always think that. So yeah, and any other, yeah, so just kind of, you know, offering them things, you know, but property condition, checklists, referrals, those are all great, you know, great options for us to start standing out. So I'm going to continue here. So expired's kind of the same thing, you know, but really expired's, you know, it's really the CMA market trends, what's happening in the neighborhood. But, you know, without putting down another agent, you know, I would never, you know, like point someone out and go, well, look, you know, that's why it didn't sell is because your agent did this. But there are ways for us to, you know, look at a listing. I mean, I'll look at a listing and the very first thing I notice are the pictures. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like what, you know, how did that agent even get that listing? Because if that's the professionalism, so you don't go like, hey, your house didn't sell because the pictures were horrible. But you can talk about how you take professional pictures, or you know you do professional pictures. There are ways, you know, and here's one of my listings that sold, and let them see the pictures. And so there are ways for us to you know, make sure, you know, if you have a chance to get in expired, you know, I mean, sometimes you can look at pictures, no matter how many there are, you know, if there's a right amount, you know, you can look at pictures and go, like, look how cluttered it is. Or, you know, if you get a chance to get in an expired home to kind of analyze what went wrong, you know, simple staging, you know, painting one wall, you know, just again, not spending a lot of money, you know, and obviously, you know, sometimes it's price. So, but giving them current and valuable data to why their home is not worth 300, it's really worth 270. You know, obviously, you know, that's just something we have to deal with, and hopefully we can, you know, sort of make them realize, you know, our job is to get the most we can, but I need people to, you know, I need people to get into the house. I need them to see it. And if you're priced at 300 and that's what they see, you know, they'll just move on to the next 270 house that's, you know, priced right. So, you know, so there's obviously conversations that we have as we're, you know, as we're talking. And again, you know, that price, you know, that any listing you are working on, you know, price and staging and little things that you can suggest, you know, will come out every single time. Please, if you guys have any comments, as always, you throw them in chat or unmute yourself, because you know, definitely want to kind of get your thoughts on, you know, just kind of working. You know, obviously we continue to talk about lead gen, but you know, anything we can offer the group as tools and things to help everyone, that's great. So, you know, so really there, you know, so finding motivation is something I do with every single client, because finding motivation will help us not waste time. So, you know, just kind of know that, you know, if I get a buyer and they're like, we want to see these 10 homes, I'm like, yeah, we're not going to go see 10 homes. What do you need? What are your musts? What do you know? So it's again, we have two great lists. So I'll make sure you guys get this slide. Either take a picture of it or you know, take a snap, you know, snap of the screen. Because this is really, like when I said earlier, like, man, I want to be able to ask 3 questions, but you know, so you kind of pull 3 out. But in reality, if you don't call someone up, and again, I don't care who this is, and go, well, I'm here to help you. You know, I can do this, I can do that, I can do that. You know, they're gonna like, you know, be standoffish and be like, what on earth, you know? But if you start building trust by, you know, once you sell your home, where will you be moving? You know, like, hey, let them sell their house on their own, be their realtor for their next one. You know, so just great questions to sort of, you know, start engaging them. So if I was to call up an expired, and I can get them to, you know, let me ask one question. If I ask the right first question, I'll be able to get them on the phone. I'll be engaging them. You know, why didn't it sell? Why do you feel it didn't sell? You know, like, they're going to answer it. They're going to answer it truthfully. You know, our agent was bad. You know, we tried to price it to, you know, whatever it is, they will answer these questions. But, you know, asking that right first question will allow you to, you know, sort of ask more questions. And during asking all the questions, you are value propping yourself. You are building trust with them as not just the normal agent that's, you know, sort of calling and saying, you know, I can sell it. You know, you're kind of asking the right questions to, you know, trigger their emotions is really what we're trying to do, and also build trust. So those questions are great as far as you know, helping do that. But, you know, motivation is key. So, you know, I'm going to quick go back just to, you know, kind of what I do each time. You know, it just goes back. I think about Roger saying, you know, I have some low quality leads that I'm trying to, you know, analyze my time. You know, I'm just not going to go out and show 10 homes to someone because they just send me the list. You know, I'm gonna tweak that down. Did you drive by? Well, you know, if I trigger their emotions and they give me a must, and they must have 3 bedrooms and 2 baths, like, you're the one that said it's a must. Well, 2 of these homes are 3 bedroom, 1 bath. Like, you know, why are we going to see that? You need 2 baths. Oh, geez, I didn't really, you know, you'll be amazed at what you hear. Oh, geez, I didn't really think of that. You know, or I didn't realize that. Thank you. Or when they drive by them, and I know, you know, in the market, man, you gotta see a home today, otherwise it's gone. I get that piece of it, but you know, we have a lot of folks out there that aren't necessarily interested in getting into the you know, the rat race and you know, dealing with, you know, multiple offers and stuff. There are folks out there that are just looking, and the right house will come along. So, you know, I am showing them a house today and one next week, and, you know, kind of just peeking through it. So, but kind of taking that time. Did you do a drive-by? There's nothing worse. I've done it, and I'm like, man, I am not going to do that again. You know, literally pull up to the house, and they're like, yeah, I don't even want to go inside. Well, you know what? If they drove by it, they wouldn't have had it on their list. So, you know, anything we can do to sort of make sure we're, you know, we know exactly what they want or anything, in figuring out their motivation will help us day to day working with them. So, just kind of realize that. So as far as, you know, closing, obviously the closing part. So we've talked about, you know, acquiring, you know, leads. You know, we can go to the MLS, we can go to, you know, for sale by owner sites. Obviously, just continue working our database as far as acquiring lead gen. And then we were talking about building it by offering things to for sale by owners, having conversations with expireds. Why didn't it sell? So now obviously we kind of get to the close, and what can we do, you know, across the board with every client, to kind of sell ourselves and show that value, but actually get the for sale by owner listing, or have them, help them, buy the next home. So, I mean, price obviously is usually the case with for sale by owners. We can usually, 31% more in price. So, so that's a great close is if you have the stats that show, or have a buyer and you come in and like, and get them the price they're asking, or if you're working more with them, but yet bring a buyer in, get them more than they were asking. Like Emily, like, man, we weren't going to ask that, and Tony brought a buyer and we got more. So, so that obviously that's like, there's no one that's going to go, yeah, no, I don't want any more money. No, I'll just keep doing it on my own, but we have to find a way to, to engage them, and be able to gain their trust and truly show them or get them more for their home. So, obviously price, but also, addressing concerns. So, I'm not sure you've done your research to fully understand how to market your home. So obviously, they know that when they put the for sale sign in the yard, or list it on for sale by owner, they know that someone's going to call and want to see it. But honestly, they feel, so there's just some stats, or some of the sites have done, NAR does a lot of surveys and things like that with for sale by owners. And they honestly feel that, if it takes a day and the first buyer does it, beautiful. But they're willing to, they're like, hey, if it takes 30 days, we're fine, because we're going to save that 6%, but, I don't know if they, realize that they could have 10 showings the first day. And, are they price negotiators? Like, I just own the home. I'm not a real estate agent. I don't know if someone offers me 240 and I got it priced at 250, like, so there's a lot that we can do, and continue to do to value prop ourselves. So again, I'm not going to read each one of these scripts, but I'll make sure that you guys get this. And if they're in the workbook, definitely worth just reading them and kind of, in our mind, building our own, our own scripts, our own talk track. But definitely having these available. The slide that said, ask what questions should we ask a for sale by owner, what questions should we ask an expired, kind of having a couple sheets out, and then, make a couple calls. I'm have a no, have a, I'm fine, I don't need your help, but if you call 5 and you can get 1 or 2 to engage, and you start asking the questions, you are going to, they're going to hang up the phone and remember you. And so if you reach back out to them, or if on the call you said, hey, I can put together a quick CMA for your house. It won't be, won't be perfect or totally, I would have to see the house to kind of finalize the CMA, but this is, 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,700 square foot type in this neighborhood, type CMA, to make sure that, you're on the same page as far as pricing. So again, just lots of things. But, it's just another option for us, to do that lead gen. So, obviously, just sample scripts about, their, concerns. And this is really sort of that objection handling piece. So, they are for sale by owner for a reason. That, they would have listed if they, didn't care about 6%, or didn't want to do for sale by owner, or didn't think that, hey, I'm going to have to show this, might get overwhelmed as it starts. But just kind of know, they're doing it for a reason. So there's no, we cannot just go in like, lights out, and tell them, I can get you more money and stuff without, kind of showing them, exactly what we mean by that. So I'm going to kind of continue through here. So, be persistent. So, you know, I love when you hear a story of someone that you know, knocked on a door, or, you know, the Tony story with Emily. I love that. But obviously we know that, you know, that it's not just always going to happen, and you will hear no. And but, you know, I think NAR says that about 72 or 73% of for sale by owners list. So, you know, I mean, I just have to have a little plan in place, so that if I reach out to John today, and maybe I don't have a buyer, you know, maybe I do, but if I don't, and I'm just like offering them, you know, a CMA, or offering them a property condition, and I can stick it in the mail kind of thing. You know, I got to stick it in my phone, you know, put it on my calendar to reach out to John a week from now. But when when I did that first conversation, or I sent him something valuable, when I reach out a second time, you know, he's gonna, you know, I mean, it might be like, hey, we're good, you know, I think we're, you know, we're still on the right track. But he's not gonna, you know, he's not a hang up on me after I've given him something valuable. So I can just simply reach out to him, call or text, and you know, handwritten note, whatever it is, and just throw out like, hey, hope everything's going well. How are the showings going? You know, let me know if you need anything. You know, just kind of throw it out like that. You know, he will respond to that. You know, he'll answer the phone and answer my question. He'll respond to the text. He'll, you know, he'll appreciate if I did a handwritten note, just with you know, just, hey, would love an update. You know, let me know how things are going, or if you need anything. But that, you know, if I can just offer them something valuable to start, the follow up is easy. You know, I mean, I'm still hoping I get the listing. You know, that's my goal. I'm not, like I said before, I'm not doing this just because I'm bored and want to help, you know, first time owners sell their home by themselves. But my goal is, you know, but I have to follow up. But like I said, it's so much easier after I kind of did that first piece and didn't just send a letter. You know, my first piece was that handwritten note, or you know, sending them a property condition with a handwritten note, like, hey, you're going to need this, or obviously, better yet, have had a conversation with them. So that's, you know, just kind of consider that. But obviously, getting to the develop pieces, you know, we got to continue. So you know, be memorable. You know, I mean, pretty, you know, pretty obvious, I guess. Talking about standing out and what you can do different. You know, this is it right here. So we talked about all of this. So you know, except for maybe testimonials, but you know, if you did have a testimonial or two, and can get them, you know, get that to the client or potential client as you're going through in the conversation. But we talked about market condition. We talked about a personal letter. We talked about looking at your listings and showing them what you could do from them. So if you send a sample, you know, flyer of one of your listings, and they see professional pictures and a great description and a quality listing, you know, that will, you know, that's one of maybe the second or third things that you can send them, you know, whatever the timing is to stand out. You know, like this is how I represent my listings, and that's just building more trust with them as you go. So I'm just, well, I know Jackie had mentioned, you know, kind of doing the drive-by. You know, we haven't necessarily, you know, talked about actually calling until today, but I kind of want to just stop and see if you guys have any questions, any thoughts on what we've talked about. As far as, again, I know we're talking about for sale by owners and expireds, but you know, I think you can probably realize now that everything we've talked about is really a value prop for us, and that value prop will work with buyers and sellers across the board. So, you know, so just continue to think along those lines. We're developing ourselves through this class and course. So, you know, and just grabbing all the little tidbits we can to build a better agent out of each one of us. So, you know, just more experience and stuff. So, but anybody have any thoughts, anything that they want to, you know, sort of share to this point? We have about a half an hour to go. Jackie, real quick. So you had said that you haven't done this in a while. Just kind of curious, you know, is it something maybe that's back on your radar? Using the for sale by owners is, you know, maybe even if you just started with like, I have buyers and I can't find them a house. And if I found a for sale by owner, I wouldn't have 30 people that, you know, to compete with, kind of thing. Is that sort of back on the radar maybe?
Well, I definitely like knock on doors for homes. I have buyers that in very, very competitive markets. So I for sure, at the slightest hint of a referral, for a seller and just farming those areas where I have buyers and a lot of other agents do, I hit those areas pretty hard. As far as like the for sale by owners, you know, we're just not seeing a lot of those anymore, in our area. But no, I definitely still knock on doors and try to talk to as many people as possible.
Awesome. Appreciate that. Anybody else kind of have some similar thoughts? You know, I mean, really anybody that's sort of struggling with that buyer, you know, either finding them a home or, you know, with the competitive, you know, multi offers most of the time and they're getting frustrated. Anybody else have any thoughts?
Wayne, what I've been doing is, you know, watching those homes that we might have had some interest in. And when they come back on the market, I know I'm experiencing myself, if a listing comes back on the market, needless to say, there is not the excitement about it. And people are always worried about, okay, why is it coming back on the market? 90% of the time, it's because of the buyer's inability to move forward for whatever reason, and not necessarily anything about the condition of the property. So we're watching closely those properties that come back on the market because they are the highly desirable properties that were escalated in value because of the multiple offers. And when they come back, they actually end up selling for at or a little bit even below list price. So we've been trying to watch those as much or more so than some of the new listings coming on. So that really has been helping my buyers.
Awesome. I love that. I love it. Yeah. You know, I mean, yeah, and they sometimes sneak back on the market. You know, it's like it just kind of just becomes active. It's not like a new listing or, you know, so sometimes, like you said, they sort of get missed. So I love setting, you know, just setting something up, you know, daily or whatever to, you know, to truly monitor them. In you know, yeah, and then they come back on, and you get it for less. I mean,
Yep.
talking about, you know, building trust and having a happy client. You know, your buyers would be thrilled. So I love that. I appreciate that.
Also on FSBOs, anytime that I see a for sale by owner sign, I don't care where it is, or anytime I see that, I will always make the call right then and there and say, I see that you have your home for sale. What price are you asking? So I get the price. And then I just try to find out as much about it as possible. And I tell them that I do not have a buyer, but I am a local agent and I have buyers coming to this area all the time. Is it okay if I make an appointment to come in and talk with you about it? So my objective is to get in the door. Once I get in the door, it actually goes well. I don't try to offer them anything initially. I don't try to push them in any way. I don't let them believe that I have a buyer. I just basically tell them, look, I work in this area. I need to know what all is on the market, and I would love to be able to see what you have so that when I have buyers, I can bring them. So I don't really try to go for the sale or go for the listing at all when I first try to get in the door.
I love it. I love it. And just you know, just a rough estimate. What's your, I don't call it a success rate when you call, like out of 10, how many are you getting sort of in the door, or you know, at least moving forward with them and not the hang up? So.
Oh, almost always they let me in the door. Almost always. When I try to let them know that I'm really not there to get the listing. I'm there to see what their home looks like because I have buyers that are coming to the market. that's when they're like, sure, come on over. I'll show you the house. And that's when I develop the relationship with them. And I leave without asking for the listing. I leave without offering them anything. I just wanted to get face to face to let them see who I am and, talk to them about everything about their house. They love to talk about their house. And I don't offer any suggestions. I don't try to do anything to assist them in any way at all with regard to the sale initially. But I'll give it a day and call them back and say, I was thinking about, your home and this, perhaps we can talk a little bit more because I have some ideas, and then I'll try to, work with them a little bit. I'll even try sometimes to do an open house for them. Another thing, like I'll offer to do an open house on their house and tell them that, I can help them with finding buyers. So that sounds really weird, but it is true. I do lots and lots and lots of open houses in our area. And if I don't have a listing to do an open house, I will reach out to a for sale by owner and offer to do an open house for them.
Love it. I love it. So your initial standout, I'm a little bit different than, the rest is first that you called. And second is that, you just need to know what's on the market. And if you get it, so you just, and then I love when you said, after a day, I love when you said, I was thinking, that's awesome. Cause then you're, they're, that's like that's, you gave them something valuable by you going in the house and just leaving without asking for anything. They have trust in you already. Like they're like, oh yeah, Darlene. So when you call or follow up, that their guard is completely down. They're like, oh, it's Darlene. And then you're kind of, putting out the, starting to add some more value. That's very cool. I like that.
Yes. They try to, I try to give them pluses and minuses as to, what I can do to help them when I follow up, of course, not initially, but when I follow up, because so many people don't realize that any Tom, Dick, or Harry can knock on their door and they may not be the least bit qualified.
Yeah.
So I've even asked them, if you want me to help you qualify that buyer, get their name and number, tell them that you will, get their name and number, and I'll see what I can do to help you qualify that buyer, that kind of thing. I mean, it's interesting because anytime that you do whatever you can to help somebody sell a house, even if you don't have the listing, that trust begins to build, and then eventually you do get the listing.
Yeah. Yeah. Or they refer you to a friend. I mean, it's just kind of, for a little effort in going outside the box a little bit, that'll end up in a listing. That'll end up with those folks buying something, or them just, they'll just know, the next time they hear something about an agent, we didn't end up using Darlene, but she was unbelievable in helping us. Like we got lucky and did it, whatever. So yeah. I love that, just kind of building that trust, and there'll be something that comes out of it. Ideally the listing, but there'll be something that comes out of that down the road.
Yep.
Awesome. So Michelle asked, is it legitimate to state you have a buyer when you don't, or bring in a friend? Well, like I said earlier, there are agents that are not completely, on the up and up, that will reach out to a for sale by owner and say, I have a buyer, and they really don't, but they're trying to, get in the door. I much prefer, what Darlene just said. I mean, if you have one, have one. I would never say I have one, or try to sneak someone in as the buyer kind of thing, because that could blow up. But just being honest with, like, I'm an agent. I need, loved what Darlene said. I'm an agent in this market. I have buyers that come in all the time. I could get one tomorrow, but I need to know what's on the market and what's available to me. So, just having, that conversation without promising anything and trying to, do something without really having a buyer. that was, I kind of much prefer just being on the up and up but showing value just by saying, I'm an agent in the market, I need to see this house, and then maybe following up with, like Darlene said, about showing some value and offering some advice, in the next conversation. And then John, if you do an open house for a FSBO, you bring a buyer, do you get commission? Obviously, I would set that up. I would, if hey, can I do a open house for you? I can help you bring buyers. I'll handle it. It won't be listed. I would certainly do a one-time, agreement with them, like you kind of call it a one-time showing. There would be something in place that there would be a commission agreed on if someone showed up at the open house, or if I brought, same thing if I brought a buyer. I'm not showing that buyer that house without having something from the seller saying, yeah, if you bring, John in and John buys it, I will pay you this commission.
Oh, that's absolutely true. You always set up your commission first if you're going to be doing something like that. But the other thing is, it gives me the opportunity to find more buyers who might not necessarily like that house. But on the other side is, I can give a seller, the for sale by owner seller, feedback from the people that are coming in, like it's too high, or they don't like the smell in the basement, or you need to clean up the pet odor, or different things along that line. So I know it's weird, but I do a lot of open houses in our areas, and I put out like 20 signs every time I do an open house. And I usually get a very good result, even through the whole COVID thing. I was continuing to do open houses. So I know it's weird, but to be honest, that's kind of my niche, and I get great buyers that way. I mean, these are buyers that are looking like right now. And when open houses are out there, they'll put their mask on, they'll put their gloves on, they'll follow whatever the rules are as far as getting in and getting out. But if they're interested in buying a house, they will come in and they will look.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah. And just to, we talked about, it kind of led to that from saying, I do an open, I will, or will shoot to do an open house for a FSBO. But just realize, all the agents on the call, there is someone in your office that has a listing that would, that would probably like you, if you said, hey, Mike, I know you're busy, or you don't really do open houses, or whatever, or you have 5 listings, is there one that I can do an open house for you? So in agents in your office are often, excited that, another agent will, and then you set it up with that agent, like ideal, usually in that case, you get all the buyers. So whatever buyers come through, if they're not working with someone else or whatever, that's, so you're kind of building your database or your sphere, meeting folks at the open house. And like Darlene said, well, this isn't for us, but you have a chance to sell yourself as to why they should use you. And, you set them up on a listing alert, or you find, other houses for them, send them to them, kind of start that. So that's always an option out there to maybe, check with some agents in your office and do open houses for their listings.
We do use our ERA, website to notify when we have or need someone to hold an open house for us. So be sure to watch that site.
Awesome. Love it. And then, so obviously that one-time commission thing, I would just reach out, if anyone, needs that or whatever, I would make sure you reach out to your office manager, and they can help you find, use a form or develop something, but definitely having that in writing, John, is crucial, because there's nothing worse than, kind of just doing it and then looking back and going, oh gosh, I just introduced those two, like I'm out of it. So, and again, we don't do this just because we're bored. We're doing it to make money and grow our business. So definitely having something in place prior.
I actually have a group of people who help me with when they see a for sale by owner. Like I have a good relationship with our mailman, our mail lady.
Oh,
And anytime she sees a for sale by owner, she pulls out her cell phone and sends me a picture of it and tells me the address.
oh, that is awesome. I have never, yeah. I mean, so, just think, just let a couple people in your world, good friends, family, mailman, that type of thing. Snap a picture, tell me what the address is. And then you can, do a little homework and call. So I love that. That is awesome.
Yep, for open houses, with regard to paper register or an electronic app that Denise asked, of course, all the time I used to have a paper register, but people would write down junk. But with an electronic app, I was trying that too. But again, people were having to hold my iPad or my phone to enter their information. And with the COVID thing, what I've asked them to do is before they come in, I give them my cell phone number and ask me to text me. And that way I have their I have their information through a text. And now I just have a phone number. And when I open my phone on, when I open that text, then I put their name and phone number in my phone that way. So I'm not even using an app anymore.
Awesome. But the whole idea of that is, yes, we do want to gather their information. That's the main, that's the main thing but I love text me your name,
Yep.
like, well, you have their name and you have their cell number at that point. So that's awesome.
It works out well, and they don't touch any of your stuff and you don't touch their stuff either. So
Yeah. That's awesome. I love it. And Mary says, I have a question about how people are handling multiple offers. What are you finding in how other agents are handling them to help be competitive?
Oh, that's a great question. I have lots and lots of things I can offer on that. Some of it has to do with instead of giving up, fully giving up your inspection, because a lot of people just give up inspection altogether, and then they discover that it would be advantageous if they were to just tell the seller, look, we won't ask you for anything piddly. Like we won't ask you for anything under, say, $2,000 for any one item. And that way you have the opportunity to do your inspection. You have the opportunity to see if there's anything truly large or involved that might need some more, investigation, like either radon or, foundation issues or something like that. But I found that it's better to do it that way rather than giving up the inspection altogether. Same thing with the appraisal. So many people give up appraisal willy-nilly, just, okay, we're not going to ask for anything on the appraisal. I find that it's better to cap that appraisal by saying 2,000 over appraisal or 5,000 over appraisal or something like that. That way, if it comes in at 20,000 over the appraisal and your buyer doesn't have that money, then you don't have to walk away from the deal.
Yeah. So yeah, couple thoughts. And I love the question because this is just a great learning option. So two parts to that question. So I also will use an escalation clause. So we will it's listed at 250. We will pay whatever you don't know how many offers there are and stuff, but let's say there's 3 offers. So, we'll pay 250, 250, but with an escalation clause, up $2,000 above the highest offer, up to 260, something. So an escalation clause will allow you to offer something, but say, if there's a 255 offer, we'll pay 257, above the highest offer. So that's one piece. So there's lots of things. Personally, there's nothing, like you get in that situation. There are a couple pieces that are going through your mind. Like you want to get the listing for your buyers. They really want it, but kind of leaning on what Darlene said. We gotta, I have no choice but to just pull back a little bit and go, giving up that home inspection. I know you love the house, but giving up that home inspection, or, different things, or just going to, 270 or something, is it really what you want to do? Like, I want to sell the house, I want to get commission, all of that, but sometimes we have to just, not kind of get into the, jump in the weeds with everybody else and just start throwing things out the door. When we sort of stop and make sure we're taking care of our client, that will, and if that deal didn't work out, they are, that we just built trust with them. They're gonna, they might be, we ended up doing the best we could, but we didn't throw out everything and they lost it. You're building trust with them. So just kind of know, that's a piece of it as well. There's a couple other comments, but to kind of just go back to the second, I think there was sort of a second piece to the
Yes,
question.
to be more specific, I feel like as the market changes, of course, our job changes. And I'm seeing agents do things and handle multiple offers in ways that I just hadn't thought about. So I guess to get ahead of the game and try to understand how everyone is approaching it so that you are most competitive. I always have to use an escalation clause. You always have to, I have, I had a young girl I was working with that I, of course, was not willing to give up the inspection, but of course said that we would be not asking for anything that wasn't major. Of course, I try to get them to just think that I am the nicest, funnest agent that they'd ever want to work with, whatever. But what I found in one situation where this young girl made an offer on a house, we were the first people there. Well, we've been the first people there quite a few times. So many multiple offers this year. It happened that the agent actually dated my husband's brother and took baby pictures of my son. So the next thing you know, we're talking about that. We loved the house. The people that owned it were there for the showing. We thank them so much, explain we got to meet them. They, of course, love this girl who's my son's girlfriend. So we're all in a good place. There were 7 offers. We were in the top 2. So she came back and asked us for our highest and best, which pretty much was there. So I can't remember, we made some minor adjustments, but that was the best we could do. We'd be great to work with. We promise it wouldn't be, you'd be happy and it would be an easy transition. The other agent, made an offer. Their escalation clause went, of course, maybe $10,000 over, which they didn't have to do. No, how did they do it? They made an offer of maybe, I think, however it worked, they ended up getting it because their escalation clause went ridiculously high. They only had to go 2,000 over us, but they were willing to go way over. Jeez. So they ended up getting it. Then we noticed that it transferred for less than asking. I called the agent, since obviously I got to know her, and she said that the appraisal came back low, and she had a bad feeling when the agent said to her that he hated multiple offers, and she just got a bad feeling. So the appraisal came back low. She offered to pay for another appraisal. They would not go for it. And she ended up working with them instead of calling us. But I think that there are agents who are doing that and are just bumping everybody out. Do you understand what they're just getting rid of everybody. So now you're working with me, and whatever happens, you and I got a thing, and I got rid of everyone.
Yeah. Agents are, not every agent is, on the up and up, and they're, are doing things, unethical, maybe, just offering high and hoping when something happens, it may not be, truly unethical, but it's not, it's not right. So, I think if we take care of our folks, just like you said, it's the best we could do. We tweak something. I think if we take care of our folks, I think that's obviously number one. A few folks have said, make sure we have conversations with the listing agent. And you did, but, kind of going back to, if I have just some thoughts, if I have a buyer and I went through that situation, kind of like Darlene was saying earlier about, sort of staying on or watching homes that sold and might be coming back on the market. So maybe I still have my buyer 3 weeks from now, maybe, just given that, make a note like 2 weeks from now or something like, I'm going to reach out to that listing agent, just see what's happening with that deal kind of thing. So, but I agree totally that
I have done that with other offers. Of course, you make it clear that if you run into any trouble, please keep me in mind. We're very interested, get back to us. We're still looking, but so yeah, you do keep that in mind. I guess if nobody's had that experience, just let me tell you that there's sneaky people out there doing that, and they get rid of everybody, and then they
yeah. And one other thing that I will do is if there is a question about an agent, a certain agent, could be listing agent, I just aren't, not quite, there are agents that I trust, so for anybody new in this situation, I would strongly encourage you to reach out to your office manager and just like for that advice, because it will happen, and if it hasn't already, so your office manager will be able to, to help you with the escalation clause, or should I do this or that, or follow up and things. So first of all, I want to make sure we know that, but I have and will, if I need to, actually present my offer directly to the seller. In the listing agent will say, I don't do that, whatever, but they can't, that's a right you have. So, you presenting your offer to the seller directly, and them getting to know you. And so maybe there's a shot that, first of all, sometimes, I would not trust the listing agent in general. Like if they have an offer and then I'm putting mine in, there's, if I don't trust them, there's no way that I am not presenting my offer, because I don't know what's going to happen. Like if they want to double dip and get both sides, and they'll do whatever they can. So, it's not it's not always that situation, but just kind of realizing, if I have a shot to present it, and if something was to go wrong, like I know Greg had said, I make a point to the listing agent and my deal's closed. Like if I had a chance to sort of say that, or present my case directly to the seller. If they start, the appraisal comes back low, and now that agent says, oh, you got to work with me. There's a chance that seller's going, wait a minute, Wayne had a 255 offer. He said this, whatever. So again, that's just maybe an option for us to sort of have in our pocket, and bring out when needed.
Wayne?
Yes.
One thing too that I find that really does work, some agents won't present them, but I do find that most agents will. If you have the buyer writing a love letter about the house, when I walked in, I could see my family, raising my family here, or something along that line. You can't use any kind of words and so forth that could be discriminatory, but I'll tell you what, there are many, many sellers who will fall for that.
Okay, it's so crazy here that every offer has the escalation clause, the letter, the everything, all those things. But there's just, in this case, it wasn't the listing agent. She's actually a very seasoned agent and a nice person. I think she just maybe got a little bullied into thinking that she had to stick with this agent. And you know, the appraisal coming back low, she offered to pay for it herself, another appraisal. So you almost have a feeling like that was his plan, that,
Yeah.
and I don't really know why the appraisal would come back low. It really shouldn't have come back that low. So anyway, I think that I just was in a case with a sneaky agent.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, yeah. No, I know what you mean. Just a couple things before we end today's session. First of all, seriously, I love the interaction. And so I hope this is just helping everybody. And I love just hearing from everybody. But, obviously Dwayne says, make sure to educate the listing agent. Astronomical offers are only real if they do not include financing, as far as appraisals and things. So, kind of like Mary and Darlene both said, just know who's involved. So, and again, if I'm new or, experienced at whatever level, your office manager will help you, like, okay, this is my situation. And you may not know, exactly who has the other offers. You can ask the listing agent, okay, who has 3 offers? Oh, John has one, Darlene has one, Jackie has one. Okay. I always ask, do you have one? Does the listing agent have one? So, kind of, you can ask those questions. But sometimes the listing agent, may not have experience. It might be a little sneaky. So you just got to take care of yourself and your client. Again, not always by offering, whatever and taking away clauses in home inspections, but, just kind of understanding that. So, I think we need to make sure we bring in someone to help us, kind of get through that. And then Denise says, listing agent, a backup offer. So, I mean, you can literally have a signed backup offer with an end date. So if they were to find another home, it can be, you can talk about withdrawing it. So, but that allows you to, like there's a backup. So the seller has 2 offers. If the first one falters or the seller says, you know what, I'm not falling for that. I'm not taking less. I have this other offer. So either do what you said you're going to do, pay this price, or I'm going to go to the backup offer. And the backup offer is signed in waiting there. So it's a legit offer. So I love, that backup offer piece. And then I truly love the second thing she has, done is the lender. So, the buyer's pre-approved or whatever, instead of just getting the letter and, in the pre-approval letter or little diagram thing, and give that in the offer, she has the lender email the listing agent on the buyer's behalf. And that's always a little bit more about, hey, these folks are good to go. See no issues as long as the, house appraises kind of thing. So that's awesome. So. Yeah. So yeah. And Greg says love letters can be risky. So, you're in just so you guys know, in New York State where I sell, it's actually, I can't do it anymore. We cannot include a letter with the offer. So, but yeah, so you just got to be careful. It's not, saying, I want to, I see my, growing my family here kind of thing is one thing, but, going overboard, can quickly turn them off. So yeah, be careful with that. So. Okay, so we got off track with our slideshow, but still truly loved the conversation. I think it was, I think it's valuable. So I hope everyone, was able to get some stuff out of that. I will email the week 2 PowerPoint just so you guys have it and can scroll through it. And of course, I'll do the recording. I did send out the recording for Monday's class this morning. It was sitting in my outbox, and I don't know if I lost connection or something and it didn't send. So I did send that. So I'll resend that and this recording this afternoon, just to make sure you guys have it along with the PowerPoint. But thank you guys so much. I appreciate you joining and staying with us and wanting to grow. So, oh yes, Happy New Year, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the week. Homework, value prop. If you haven't done it, and you're still working on it, please do that. And then that database, we need to start or be working that database. And then in this week, let's make some call. It's perfect time to make a call, send a text, Happy New Year. Get folks thinking about you. And then Monday, I want to chat and hopefully get some things from you guys for some good news. I reached out to someone, they responded. That's always a bonus. I reached out to someone and found out that they're potentially listing soon, that kind of thing. So, definitely value there. So let's make sure we start having conversations as we're building our database. So, and real quick, Darlene says, look for expired listings that are back even as far as a year. So, like I said earlier, those folks, when I list my house, I think it's sold already, kind of in my mind. We are moving. So when it doesn't, man, folks get they get disappointed and sad, and like, maybe we just aren't meant to sell. Maybe they're just waiting for, spring. So I love looking back a year and just kind of seeing what happened with some homes, and they just, they get a call and maybe they're thinking about something. It's a great way to potentially bring a buyer in, or certainly to engage someone or re-engage them and get a listing that way. So I love it. So thank you guys so much. Thank you, Darlene and Mary, everyone, Jackie, for joining in the conversation and sharing everything. So thank you guys so much. Have a great New Year's, and we will see you Monday morning at 9:30. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Happy
Thank
New
you.
Year.